Hi there, I'm Seraphine Keller, and I wasn't supposed to survive this story. My sister Sable once whispered she'd raise my baby if I ever slipped. Then she slipped, almost dropped Lily from a second-floor window. Now she calls herself Auntie of the Year, while hiding legal documents in my own house behind my back. They say family protects you. Mine? They plan my replacement. But I'm done being quiet. I have a letter from the grave, a missing contract, and a baby that only I will defend. I cradle Lily against my chest, breathing in the soft down of her newborn hair. The house is warm with laughter. Gifts are stacked on a side table, pastel blankets, tiny booties, a plush lamb that already smells of formula and hope. Friends and family drift in and out, trading smiles, congratulations, that quiet awe new parents carry. I feel like a ghost walking among them, invisible except for the baby in my arms. Damon quips quietly to his Aunt Marianne. She's got the look of a proud mother, and I almost nod. But hope catches in the back of my throat, half belief, half warning. Because the word mother has always come with more weight than I expected to lift. Sable arrives last, always dramatic, always making an entrance when others are already there. She steps through the doorway in heels clicking on hardwood, hair flowing, her laugh bright in the dim hallway. She hugs people, everyone but me. Her gaze slides to Lily, soft, claiming. She bends, picks my daughter up, and in that instant, the room tilts.
She doesn't ask.
She doesn't wait. She just lifts, smiles, and says, loud and certain, I'll be her second mother. Polite laughter ripples. Forks stop midair. Glasses pause in motion. Damon's eyebrows flick upward, but he doesn't rise to correct anything. He offers a thin smile, not for me, but for the charade. Around me, voices continue. People keep toasting. Someone compliments Sable. Such a natural with babies. Another whispers about how wonderful it is Lily will have two loving women watching her grow.
I don't respond.
I feel the warmth drain from my chest. My arms tighten around Lily, as if protecting her also protects the last piece of myself no one should claim. I remember, not long ago, how Sable used to take credit for my small wins. A parent-teacher meeting I stayed up late to prepare, a fundraising bake sale I organized. She'd smile and say, great job, sis, but always spoke as if it had been her project. Always as if I were the bystander. Now the stakes are different. It's not my pride. It's motherhood. Maybe the most sacred title I'll ever hold. She rocks Lily gently, humming a soft lullaby I don't recognize. Her voice is calm, confident. She kisses the baby's head and looks around like she just presented a gift. I want to say something. She already has a mother. But I don't. Instead, I hold the bottle I prepared for Lily's next feeding and set it on the side table with a sharp tap against the glass. The sound cuts clean, like an alarm bell. Later, amid warm lights and the scent of vanilla cake, I slip away from conversations. I wander toward the nursery door downstairs, drawn by memory and dread. I open it, not slamming, but with purpose. Inside, Sable is humming again, slow, gentle, cawing at Lily. The baby nestles against her shoulder, eyelids heavy, peaceful. Sable glances up, sees me. Her face softens into a smile I don't trust. Don't worry, she says quietly, as if we're intimate conspirators. One day, she'll love me the most. Light spills in through the curtain window. Dust motes drift across the room like small white confessions. I pick Lily up, gently, carefully. The click of my heel against the floor echoes louder than voices downstairs. Sable watches, with calm eyes. As I leave, I sense the weight behind that smile, a claim, a promise. My heart doesn't pound. My mouth doesn't tremble. I walk out with quiet certainty. Outside, the air feels different. Cooler. Sharper. The evening sky bruised purple and gray. I walk to the window, hold Lily tight, her breath steady, calm. I whisper to the dark. I didn't say a word. Not tonight. But inside me, a ledger begins. I start counting. Counting every time the roles are rewritten. Every time a family memory is recast without me in it. Every time love is spoken like a deed, like a contract. Because love given without respect becomes the kind of debt that suffocates. That night, I don't sleep. I rock Lily in the dim glow of the hallway lamp. Watch her chest rise and fall. Listen to her tiny yawns. Feel each breath, mine and hers, tethered together, unbreakable. I don't know what tomorrow will bring. Maybe more smiles. Maybe more help. Maybe worse. But right now, I exist. I am mother. And I won't let them pretend otherwise. Morning light crept through the lace curtains just as Lily stirred in my arms. The fading hush of night hovered around us, her soft coos, the tiny flutter of her lashes, the slow rise and fall of her chest. I stood by the window, rocking her gently, letting the quiet carry me through another fragile moment of motherhood. Outside, the world went on, birds, distant traffic, life. But inside, I felt a tremor before the day began. My phone buzzed before I could soothe Lily back to sleep. A new notification popped up, a familiar social media logo, a familiar name. Sable. My heart skipped. I swiped. Found myself staring at a photo, Lily swaddled in white, held by Sable in front of a church altar. Her little hand clasped in Sable's. Beneath it, a caption in delicate script, blessed to be her second mother, baptized and bonded forever. Time froze. The nursery lamp behind me flickered, as if echoing the crack in my world. I blinked, hoping the screen glitched. Maybe someone else's baby. Maybe a trick of daylight. But the photo stayed there, clear, real, undeniable. I scrolled. Another shot. The priest's outstretched hand over Lily's head. A third. Damon smiling beside Sable. The timestamp. Yesterday afternoon. The same hour I'd been resting after feeding, too drained to notice anything beyond lullabies and soft blankets. A cold hush settled in my chest, squeezing tight. This wasn't a picture to hang on a wall. It was an eclipse. A rebirth without me. I shut the phone quietly. Lily stirred again. Her small fingers curled. I kissed her forehead. "You have a mother," I whispered, "and I will always be yours." I left Lily sleeping under the dim glow of the mobile's nightlight, closed the nursery door without sound, and walked into the kitchen. Coffee pot still warm from last night. The house smelled of vanilla and soft laundry. Outside, the wind whispered through the pines. Inside, a new weight pressed against my ribs. I tried to recall the last time Sable ever asked if she could help, to hold, to watch, to participate. Everything before now was gentle, familiar. But nothing had felt like this. Nothing had been posted with a flourish of words like it belonged to her. The house felt colder. Official. Strangers could pass through, and no one would blink. That afternoon, Damon came home early. I didn't mention the photo, I waited. When he stepped in, he carried the faint smell of fresh rain and old newspaper. He sank onto the sofa beside me, nodding as Lily fussed from the cradle. I waited until the silence grew thick. Then I asked, voice soft as paper dragging across the floor, "Where were you yesterday afternoon?" His eyes widened, dear caught. He shifted on the cushions. Sable asked me to come to the church. He began slowly, as if choosing words from a long pantry. She said it'd be a nice gesture. Just symbolic. She wanted Lily to feel loved by more than just her parents. Without telling me, I said. Without asking me. He ran a hand over his forehead. You needed rest. I thought it'd be okay. I closed my eyes and let the memory sharpen. Soft pews, hushed voices, that white gown, a promise written in light and click of camera shutters. A secret made permanent before a mother even knew. It's not about legality, Damon. It's about motherhood and respect. My words landed like stones on a fragile vase. He didn't reply. The slow drip of silence stretched across the room. Then later my mother-in-law called. Miranda's voice carried concern and calm, smooth as silk draped over a bone. Sable only wanted to help, she said. You're just too sensitive right now. I didn't argue. I let her words float in the air, because arguing wouldn't reach beyond the walls of that phone. Instead, I whispered to Lily, already half asleep, someday you'll know I saw it all. I just chose grace over rage. That night I filled pages in my journal, dates, timestamps, faces. I saved the screenshots. Printed a copy on my home printer, crisp black ink on white paper. Each photo a question. Each caption a door without a knob. I didn't post anything. I didn't call friends. I needed silence. Because sometimes protection asks for quiet strength. Late in the evening, a small box appeared on my doorstep. No name handwritten. Inside, a delicate silver frame, etched with cursive words, 2 moms, 1 heart. I held it, weight cold in my palm. I turned it over, set it upside down on the kitchen counter. The room stayed dark except for Lily's nightlight. I thought of her tiny face, her growing world. They thought they were claiming her, but they only baptized my patience. I slipped the frame into a drawer, locked it, returned to the nursery, sat beside Lily, felt her warmth, heard her steady breath. In that stillness, I knew the fight ahead wouldn't be loud. It wouldn't need thunder. It would need truth. The morning air was soft, almost forgiving, when I woke to Lily's gentle coos and the light shift of curtains under a rising sun. I sat on the edge of the bed, cradling her close, listening to the quiet rhythm of her breathing. For a moment, just a moment, I believed maybe all of it had been a nightmare. The baptism, the frame, the claim. Maybe this day would bring peace. Maybe they'd let us be. But trust felt fragile. More fragile than any woven bassinet or delicate lullaby. Still, I agreed when Damon suggested Sable could watch Lily while I rested. She just wants a few minutes, he said. His eyes flickered with tentative hope. I nodded, releasing my grip on the past and handing over her tiny body, trusting against the grain of every alarm that had rung since Lily's birth. I paced the kitchen, warming a mug of tea, trying to calm the tremor in my hands. Outside, the maple leaves brushed against windows in soft whispers. A lull of normalcy, almost peaceful. Then came the scream. High, sharp, carrying across wood floors and baby monitors. My heart stopped. I sprinted toward the stairs, each step rattling against my resolve. I reached the railing just as I heard no from across the open balcony door. The world slowed. Lily's tiny form teetered at the edge, delicate, defenseless, one crawl away from disaster. I lunged, arms wide, hands trembling, grabbed her midair. I didn't know how. I only knew I couldn't let go. Downstairs, glasses shattered, chairs scraped, voices rose and broke. Sable was there too, phone in hand, eyes wide, but calm. Too calm. She was fine, she said, voice soft. You're overreacting again. I stared at the open door behind us. The wind stirred inside. Damon arrived moments later, rain spotted from the driveway. He froze, took in the scene, the opened balcony, the rocking crib, Lily asleep in my arms. Sable was at the window, arms crossed, shoulders relaxed, safe, casual, as if nothing had happened. Miranda appeared behind him, tight smile, neutral tone. That balcony is perfectly safe. You need to calm down, dear. I blinked. I opened my mouth to argue, but words tasted bitter and hollow. They didn't see the danger. They saw the frame, the image of a mother trembling, and decided it was fear, not truth. After they left, I stood in the nursery, Lily sleeping again under pale night light. I hovered above the crib, hands flat on the soft mattress. Her chest rose and fell.
Steady.
Innocent. I whispered words I didn't know I knew. I will shield you. Always. I walked out and locked the balcony door.
Twice.
Then changed the passage code. Changed locks. Changed everything that could give or take access. Because some promises made under calm light become storms the moment you turn your back. I scavenged old voice messages, mental snapshots of subtle moments, playful hugs from Sable that lingered too long, comments about Lily being lucky to have two moms. Each memory a warning I'd ignored, a breadcrumb trail I dismissed as family closeness. Now those breadcrumbs formed a map back to truth. That night, in the dim glow of Lily's crib light, I held her close, her tiny head against my chest, breath soft. I looked past her, toward the darkness that pressed against our walls. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I only made a silent vow, as steady as her heartbeat. They think they could rewrite love, rearrange who holds what title. But I know now, motherhood is spoken in presence, protection, devotion. Not in declarations or public smiles. I tucked Lily in, pressed a soft kiss on her forehead, and brushed her hair back. My fingers lingered, because some threats don't come with sound, just silent footsteps. And I'm done pretending I don't hear them.
I didn't sleep that night.
I lay awake with Lily's quiet breathing in the dark, thinking about loyalty, trust, and how easily help can wear a mask. Morning light found me staring at the ceiling, wondering how safe my home really was. I felt the weight of every unspoken moment. Then the phone rang. It was Celeste. Her voice was quiet, tight. I think you need to see this, she said. There was no urgency in her tone, just a soft need to be heard. I agreed, my heart clinging to hope or fear. I couldn't tell which. At her house, Celeste led me to the spare bedroom. There was tea on the counter, Lily's favorite blanket neatly folded on a chair. Nothing about the room felt ready for war. But when she handed me a tiny flash drive, I saw the real danger. She whispered, "Sometimes people don't listen until they see it with their own eyes." Her words hit me like cold water. Back in my living room, I plugged the drive into my laptop. The video glowed on screen. It showed Sable sitting on my sofa while Lily crawled toward the edge of the coffee table. Sable was scrolling through her phone, absently tracing her thumb across social media. Lily leaned forward, curious. Their eyes never met. A gasp escaped me. Lily's tiny fingers reached for the edge. Still nothing. No arms stretched, no warning voice. Sable shifted, sipping her coffee, completely calm as if watching the crawl of a kitten, not a human baby. The video ended. The room went silent. I closed the laptop gently. My fingers shook. I looked at Celeste, her eyes steady, waiting. We both held our breath. Later that week, the family gathered at Miranda and Roland's home for brunch. Neutral smiles, clinking silverware, the noise of small talk. I waited until dessert plates passed and coffee stains gathered on the tablecloth. Then I asked for a moment, nothing dramatic, just a quiet request for attention. I played the video. The screen flickered, showing the neglect, showing horror disguised as distraction. I heard a swallow, a sharp chair scratch on tile, a dropped fork clang like a warning. Sable's face remained still. She lifted her eyes, blinked, then said, "You spliced that footage."
Calm voice.
Calm lips, as if she felt no shame. Miranda pressed her palm to her temple and muttered, "You're making a spectacle of yourself." Damon looked away, no anger, just tiredness. He asked, "Do you think this helps Lily?" Stirring drama. Voice low, cold. I rested my gaze on the wooden floor, then looked up slowly. "You saw the tape," I said, voice steady though hollow. "If love isn't safe, it isn't love." Silence settled over the room like dust. Forks stilled. Eyes flicked from plate to plate. Aunt Marianne's lips trembled. Some tried not to notice our eyes. But everyone saw. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I stood and walked out with Lily sleeping in her stroller. The back door closed behind me without sound. That night, in the pale glow of the nursery lamp, I sat beside Lily's crib. I prayed, not for vengeance, not for punishment, but for clarity. I reached deep, asked for strength to protect what was mine. The house was quiet, but I felt an earthquake beneath every floorboard. I opened my journal and began to write. Names, dates, images, screenshots, memories. I made a promise on that page. The truth has no audience limit. One day, it will echo louder than any excuse. Then I stood and walked through the silence of my home, relocking doors, changing passcodes, securing windows, child-proofing every edge. I turned off every circuit of doubt and locked it behind me. When I tucked Lily into crib, I whispered, "Compassion doesn't mean compliance. Sometimes love wears armor, so it can stay soft on the inside." Just when I thought rest might find me again, Celeste called, her voice a whisper against the hush of night. "There's another video. You need to see it." My heart didn't race this time. It slowed, because I recognized what was coming. And I know now, this fight is far from over. The knock came on a gray Tuesday morning, soft, almost polite. I opened the door and found an envelope resting against the rain-spattered wood. My name was typed neatly, the edges crisp. Inside, legal language dripped like ice water. A petition from Sable asking for joint custody of Lily, citing my emotional instability and claiming she was a maternal figure with equal right. My stomach clenched. I folded the paper slowly, tracing the typed words with trembling fingers. They wanted to drag me through mud, so they could raise my daughter as their own. The mail dropped heavy into the trash can. I stood still, inhaling deep, grounding myself on Lily's soft breath that echoed behind me. I reached for my phone. Contacts flickered, attorney, family law specialist Celeste. I sent messages composed and cold. Then I opened the files I'd saved, timestamps, footage, screenshot after screenshot. The camera captured every careless moment, every silent slip. I gathered phone logs, text threads, a string of soft digital breadcrumbs. They thought this fight only lived in whispers. They were wrong. 2 weeks later, I found myself seated in a small Connecticut courtroom. The air was thick with varnish, polished wood, and quiet expectation. A plain wooden bench with my name on it, like a spotlight waiting to move. Sable walked in first. She wore a pastel cardigan, soft smile, air of concern posing as composure. Damon was absent, claiming work. I closed my eyes briefly, grounded myself in Lily's warm photo taped inside my purse. When the judge called the case, I stood. Attorney Bloom, Sable's lawyer, nodded politely, turned and smiled at me like a man introducing a welcome guest.
He spoke first.
He framed Sable as a caring second mother, as a stable partner in child raising. He described me, briefly, as overprotective, emotionally fragile. He emphasized her readiness to co-parent. When it was my turn, I laid the footage on the table. I described each scene word by word: distraction, neglect, near misses. I told them what the video didn't show, but what no parent could ignore: the tiny fingers reaching, the empty eyes, the silence when attention should have snapped. My palms were steady on the folder. That baby didn't ask to be baptized in secrecy. She didn't ask for a title. She asked to be safe. I looked at Judge Moore, his face neutral. Bloom argued the footage was circumstantial, subject to interpretation. A single moment extracted from context, he said, sliding his pen across legal paths like old scars. He requested a court-appointed child psychologist's evaluation before any custody change. Judge Moore nodded. He didn't rule, not yet. But he refused to dismiss the petition outright. I exhaled, steady. Inside, I felt calm, not relief but resolve. I realized then, I don't need to prove I'm sane. I need to prove they're not safe. Back home, I moved quietly but decisively. I changed the locks, updated passcodes, installed additional cameras inside hallways, doorways, every path that led to Lily's room. I revised my will, set medical proxy and power of attorney to exclude everyone except Celeste. I sent emergency motion forms to my lawyer, requesting restriction on unsupervised visits for Sable until evaluation completed. That evening, I sat in the dim nursery light, reading a soft bedtime story to Lily. Her eyes fluttered shut. The rhythm of her breathing lured me into a moment of fragile hope. I whispered, "You're not a prize to be fought over. You're a person I promise to protect, even when no one else watches." I thought about mothers I didn't know, women who had fought quietly, who had shielded little hearts with calm conviction, not anger. Their stories flickered in my mind like distant candles. I felt connected to them. When I laid Lily into her crib, I looked at her soft face, turned away from the window, away from shadows that crept too close. Quietly, I told her, power isn't the loudest voice in the room. Sometimes, it's the one that never needs to shout to be heard. Later that night, my phone rang. My lawyer's name glowed on the screen. "They've filed an emergency visitation request," he said, voice low. "Tomorrow." I closed my eyes for a moment. Then I whispered into the silence of my bedroom, "They're not done yet, but neither am I." The night held its breath as I tucked the petition into a drawer, next to Lily's sleep monitor tabs, silent alarms, and a mother's steadfast promise. The summer air was warm, weighed down by humidity and cicada hums, when we pulled into my uncle's driveway for the family reunion. I carried Lily into the house with careful steps, stroller wheels clicking softly on the hardwood floor. I tried to steady my breath, tried to steel my face so that concern didn't show. I knew what I might walk into. Old photographs lined the hallway walls, my childhood, high school graduations, summer vacations. I paused a second, letting nostalgia blink through my vision. For an instant, I almost believed in normalcy again. But when I entered the living room, stability crumbled. Sable stood by the fireplace, bright-smiled, holding Lily in her arms. She moved through the room like a hostess, offering snacks, greeting relatives with warm hugs while rocking the baby. That sight landed in my chest like icy rain, calm, sure, claiming. A cousin near the sofa leaned in, nodding approvingly. "She's doing a great job. Just like a second mom," she said softly. I stepped forward slowly, arms holding Lily protectively. I caught Celeste's eye. She shifted uncomfortably beside me. Later she pulled me aside, lips low. They've been here all morning. Sable dressed Lily, changed her clothes, brought the outfit. I nodded and moved toward the kitchen counter, pretending to inspect the fruit bowl, but my heart hammered silence. Humiliation pressed down like heavy fabric. I stayed calm. I observed. During lunch, the moment of quiet betrayal came. Lily's little necklace, a small silver charm I recognized, slipped free from under her dress and hit the floor with a soft clink. It bore a single engraved word, Mommy. A hush fell. Eyes darted between baby and bracelet. A younger cousin crouched, scooping the chain up. That's adorable, she said, tilting her head. Wait, who got her that? Sable answered gently. It's a little reminder of who's always here for her. Her words floated in the chatter, accepted. I squeezed Celeste's hand beneath the table, a lifeline. Later, in soft urgency, I cornered Sable beside the snack table. My voice calm but firm. Did you mean to erase me with a charm? She replied with a placid smile. I'm not trying to replace you. I just feel connected to her. I kept my composure, but inside everything cracked. I bent down, unclipped the chain, and placed it in my purse with quiet resolve. Love is not a justification for trespassing. It's a reason to step back. I didn't raise my voice. No one needed to know, not now. Then came the group photo. The camera clicked. I heard the shutter, but saw only the image. Sable, centered. Damon beside her, Lily in her arms. I stood somewhere to the side, blurry, insignificant. Other family members clapped quietly, complimenting the picture. Sable kissed Lily's forehead. Someone said, "Our little family." A framed print emerged later, soft gloss catching the light. "Our little family" scrawled beneath the photo. There it was, quiet but clear. In their eyes, in that frame, I didn't exist. I held my tongue. Celeste shot me a warning look, but I stared at the floor. If hatred was easy, I would have screamed. Instead, I swallowed the ache, lifted Lily in my arms, and walked out. That night, I opened the dresser drawer where old journals and birth certificates hid. I scribbled a small note beneath a photograph. Being erased quietly can hurt more than being attacked loudly. Then I closed the drawer. I sat beside Lily's crib, her breathing soft, her eyelashes fluttering in dreams. I whispered, "One day, you'll see pictures where I'm missing. But I promise, I was always there." I opened the baby album I'd started earlier. No public, just ours. Photos of first smiles, tiny hands grasping mine, first giggles and bubble baths. I labeled the cover, "For when you're ready." I pressed the pages flat, my fingers tracing every image with gentle clarity. Later, I made phone calls. One to a family law specialist, another to the county clerk's office. I drafted paperwork for a protective clause, a legal shield to stop anyone from showing Lily publicly as anything other than her mother's child. I think about something I read once. True love doesn't need an audience. That sentence echoed in the hush of my living room as I typed. I printed the forms.
I signed. I mailed them in.
That night, Lily finally asleep, the house settled in shadow and silence. I tucked the framed photo into an envelope. Date, name, signed. I placed it in a secure folder. It was no longer a sentimental keepsake. It was evidence. Then my phone vibrated in my hand. I unlocked it. A single message from a number I didn't know. "If you keep pushing her out, she'll snap." The screen glowed like warning lights. I didn't shiver. My fingers tightened. They think fear will silence me. But I only heard a heartbeat rising. Late at night, the house settled into muted quiet, Lily's breathing soft and even beside me. I poured a cup of chamomile tea, and sat at the kitchen table, letting darkness cradle my thoughts. The brass clock on the wall ticked steadily, a slow drum in the hush. My phone rested face up beside the mug. Its screen glowed before I heard a ping. I picked it up.
Group chat.
From Sable. Her message appeared in bold letters. Lily will be with her real mom now. Thanks for understanding. Family Red Heart. Mom, my breath caught. I stared at the word mom, as though someone tried to steal my title with a hashtag. Comments piled up beneath it. Likes, hearts, emojis I no longer understood. Some wrote, "What a blessing. 2 mothers for Lily, blessed baby." The kitchen lights suddenly felt cold. I lowered the phone and pressed 2 fingers against my eyelids. Their words weren't whispers. They were a punch.
I didn't react.
I dropped my chin to my chest. They didn't just erase me from photos. They erased me from words. That thought echoed louder than any apology would. I slid the phone into a drawer and exhaled, soft as prayer. The next morning, I sat at the counter with coffee steaming in a chipped mug. The screen of the living room laptop opened to our family group chat. An article link sat pinned to the top, posted by Miranda. Postpartum anxiety, signs every mother should know for her baby's safety. Beneath, she added, maybe some mothers need help more than praise. I read. The headline danced in shadows. Depressed. Unstable. Dangerous. The paragraphs described nervous energy, fleeting moments of neglect. Not one name, but every sentence pointed at me. Comments flowed. Have you seen this lately? Maybe she needs a break. Babies deserve stability. A distant cousin messaged privately. Hope you get help if you need it. We care. The kindness tasted sour. That day, I cleaned windows while replaying the article in my mind. I asked you, reader, have you ever felt a room shrink when someone speaks about you as if you're already gone? I scrubbed glass until my knuckles whitened. Reflections blurred. Damon stopped coming home early. He spent more nights at work, fewer words on the phone. When he did speak, his voice was distant. Maybe some rest will help. I nodded to his concern, catching the flicker of something unfamiliar in his eyes. Celeste came over once with a bag of groceries and a hopeful look. She offered to watch Lily while I slept. I thanked her quietly. I said, kindness doesn't demand proof. I turned her down softly. Later that evening, I opened my phone one last time. I exited the family chat group. No dramatic announcement.
No confrontación.
Just silent removal. The buzz of notifications died. My phone felt lighter and colder. I moved through my home like a careful artist adjusting canvas edges. I opened my laptop, archives ready. I copied every screenshot, posts, comments, messages. Created folders named dates, images, context. I saved PDF printouts, audio logs, timestamps. Then I dialed a hotline that offered support for new mothers, not for help, but for records. Their voice on the other end was calm, professional. I patched in factual notes while Lily cooed in the next room. At bedtime, I sat by Lily's crib and whispered low, eyes soft. No matter what they type, sweetheart, I won't let their words become your world. I stroked her hair carefully, kissed her forehead. In that lullaby silence, I made a promise. I will not let fear rewrite our truth. Night deepened. I shut off the lamp. My laptop blinked once, a new email. From an unknown sender. Subject line, watch. Then decide. I hovered over the open button, heart steady. The screen glowed. I stilled. I reminded myself, I've gathered the truth. But truth doesn't always stay silent. The afternoon sun filtered through the living room blinds as Lily napped, tiny fingers curled around her blanket. I stood at the kitchen counter, stirring the last drops of coffee, relishing a quiet moment, hopeful maybe for a few hours without worry. Damon had left earlier for work, leaving me and the soft drone of the house. I leaned against the mahogany doorframe, letting relief soften my shoulders. Perhaps, just maybe, we could breathe again. Then the phone rang. Caller ID said Sable. I hesitated before answering. Her voice, calm, casual, offered help. You seem tired, hon. How about I take care of Lily this afternoon? Just a little break for you. I managed a half smile. Exhaustion had a way of blurring boundaries, and I thought maybe I could trust again, at least for a moment. I told her yes. The babysitter she sent stepped through our door 10 minutes later, a polite young woman with a soft smile and a quiet demeanor. She asked a few questions, showed her ID, and adjusted Lily's bassinet gently. I'll stay close, she promised, her sandals muffled on the hardwood floor. I nodded, touched by how normal it felt. Too normal. I closed the door behind me and walked to the garage, pretending I just needed to grab something. That's when silence started to sound loud. An hour passed. I cleaned old bottles in the sink, stacked dishes, tried to calm the soft ache binding my chest. Then a text buzzed. Everything's fine. Don't worry, relieved face. From the unknown number. My pulse slowed but didn't stop. I unlocked my phone. The message had no name, no context. Just reassurance. Something about that line. Careless, detached, carried weight. I dropped the sponge, wiped water from the counter, heard my own breath shallow. Then I felt it, a quiet pull, like gravity shifting under me. I left for the nursery. The door creaked quietly as I opened it. The mobile over Lily's crib hung askew. Strings twisted. The soft lullaby wasn't playing anymore. On the floor lay the framed photo, the one of Sable holding Lily, smiling at the camera. The glass was cracked. Sharp spiderweb lines across the surface. I sank to my knees, gently scooped Lily into my arms. Her breathing was even, calm, but something cold ran through me. I whispered to her, voice trembling. I promised you safe hands. And I failed to check them. My eyes darted around. No note. No explanation. The babysitter had gone. I closed the door behind me, heart heavy, walls suddenly too close. When Damon returned hours later, rain slick on his jacket, I didn't meet his eyes. He asked simply, "Why did your phone ring earlier?" I stared at him, silent. Confusion flickered across his face. Concern should have followed, but I saw only distance. Later, the phone rang again, Miranda's name. Her tone, soft, clinical. She was only helping, she said. You're overreacting. Her words wound around me like cold fog. I hung up, shutting out the noise. That night, in the quiet of Lily's room, I pressed my cheek to her soft hair. I watched her chest rise and fall. I thought of promises, protection, love, safety. I stripped the locks on every door in the house, changed passcodes, sealed each entry. I activated the security system. I placed a sign on the front door, no visitors without appointment. I called a licensed babysitter agency and registered Lily under our family file. I checked credentials, background records, references. When I hung up, I whispered, serious and low, love doesn't need permission slips, but safety does. In the soft hum of the night, lullaby on repeat, I stared into the darkness beyond the crib. I felt taut, like a string stretched tight. The next afternoon, we went to a small lunch gathering, quiet, nothing official, just extended family meeting for sandwiches and catching up. Sable appeared, holding Lily for pictures, parents mingling. I hovered by the counter, gathering fruit skewers for Lily's snack. Midway through, I came beside Damon as he prepared a plate. He handed it to Sable, frowning for a brief moment, then smiled. He said it. "Here you go, Mom, too." The words hung in the air like smoke. Plates paused. A child giggled. Someone cleared their throat. I locked eyes with Celeste, horror and regret in hers. I froze, plate in hand. Lily rested comfortably in Sable's arms, innocent, oblivious. Sable tilted Lily's head gently and said aloud, "Every child deserves all the love she can get." Smiles fluttered like false candles around the table. I watched each forced nod, each sideways glance. I lowered the plate, set it down softly, and walked away, holding Lily close as if she were the only truth left in that room. From the floor above, I heard faint laughter, not joyful, but relieved. I pressed Lily to my chest again. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood by the front door, touching the brass knob, remembering. I taped a note on the inner frame. I may not control their lies, but I control the doors they pass through. I felt calm.
Clear.
And something else, resolve. I looked at Lily sleeping peacefully in her crib. Soft hair splayed on the pillow. I whispered in a voice no one else would hear. "You deserve truth, not illusions." Then I locked the door behind me. Later, my phone buzzed one last time. An unknown number again. A picture. Lily, asleep in her bassinet. Caption. "She misses company. Maybe you should rest less." The message glowed on the dark screen. Threats disguised as concern. I inhaled. Silent. They thought fear would make me bend. They don't know what quiet strength even looks like. I tucked my phone away. My spine straightened. I'm not running. Sunday morning came slow, with the kind of quiet that feels too soft after a week of storm clouds. The sky outside was pale, the light barely warmer than early frost. I hovered near Lily's crib, brushing a few strands of hair from her sleepy face. Then I packed up a diaper bag, as though we were just going to visit family. My hands were steady. My heart was careful. When we arrived at Miranda's house for brunch, I hugged Aunt Marianne politely, nodded at familiar faces, accepted a soft, "Welcome back." The table was set with china plates, quiet, neutral, as if nothing had shifted. Sable arrived late, cradling Lily like a little trophy. She placed a wrapped gift on the side table with a bright smile. One aunt murmured approvingly, "Good of her to step in for the baby." The words felt like a cold draft. Celeste sat beside me, watching. Her eyes flicked between Sable and me, an offer of solidarity behind soft concern. Damon lingered by the windows, hands in coat pockets, eyes distant. He asked gently, "Everything okay?" But his tone lacked certainty. I nodded, smiled, sampled fruit bites. Politeness felt like armor. The air held a hush masked as normalcy. Little by little, laughter floated, safe, rehearsed. But I tasted the tension in every clink of silverware. They played civility like children pretending to pass invisible tea. I held Lily a moment longer, felt her warm breath against my chest, and wondered how a home could feel so far from safe. Dessert arrived, a small chocolate cake topped with fresh berries, plates sliding across linen-soft cloth. Conversation drifted. Memories of childhood summers, Damon's high school mischief. Miranda leaned forward, tone soft. "We all just want what's best for Lily. You understand that, right?" The question hung like smoke. Celeste stiffened. Damon's face closed. Silence tightened. Sable cleared her throat, voice calm. "Maybe it's time we stop pretending Damon didn't ask me to help raise Lily." Her words dropped weight in the room. Aunt Marian gasped. A chair scraped. Damon stood, confusion trembling in his eyes. "That's not what I said," he muttered. Celeste slammed a fork down, a sharp punctuation in still air. Then tell them what you did say, she demanded. The hush turned heavy, like air before thunder. Damon closed his eyes momentarily, swallowed. Then he spoke. I was scared. I heard your anxiety after birth. I feared. I thought Lily needed stability. I asked Sable and your mother to help, behind your back. The confession echoed. A low hum in my bones. My cheeks stayed calm. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I said, so you doubted me. And instead of asking me, you formed a panel behind my back. My voice didn't shake. Miranda sighed and offered quiet defense. It wasn't betrayal. It was concern. I looked around the table, faces shifting, sympathies reshaping, and I said softly, concern that hides in whispers always demands to be questioned. No one clapped. No one nodded. Just silence. Words too big for an ordinary brunch. I stood, slid Lily gently from Sable's arms. I kissed Lily's head, light, private. I didn't wait for permission. I didn't seek approval. I left the room holding truth tight against my ribs. Later that evening, in the hush of our home, I opened the safe, the one I thought kept everything secure. Guardianship forms, legal copies, proof of parenthood. I keyed the lock, felt the metal click. But the envelope was empty. The papers gone. No sign of forced entry. No broken seal. The code was untouched. Only 3 people knew it. Me, Damon, Celeste. I sank onto the edge of the bed, eyes on the empty folder. When the house whispers secrets, you change the locks and the questions. I called Celeste. We checked online logs, digital timestamps, nothing. No hint of a breach. But the missing document could rewrite everything. Custody, rights, proof. I felt my chest tighten, lungs shallow. It's one thing to fight words. It's another to fight absence, the kind of loss that erases truth. By Lily's crib, I held her small hand. I whispered, soft, whatever they erase, I will rewrite with truth. Then I reached for pen and paper. I drafted a letter to my lawyer, asked for reissue, backup copies stored off-site, and instructions notarized under their eyes. Because when the wind shifts, don't shout, build better walls. Wind listens only to structure. I kissed Lily's forehead, tucked her gently, and watched the moonlight drift across her crib. I told her, you don't need to prove you're loved. You need to know you're safe. That night before sleep, Damon placed a note on my bedside table. I opened it. It read, I never meant to betray you, but maybe I didn't know how to defend you either. I held the paper, cold under my fingers. The baby monitor hummed softly in the dark, its green light steady. I exhaled slowly, letting the weight settle in. Some protection begins in silence and ends in thunder. To you, watching this story unfold, have you ever been protected without your consent? If someone undermines your truth behind closed doors, do you choose strength or silence? The October morning air at the mediation center felt too crisp after a summer of uncertainty. I sat with Lily strapped in her stroller beside the wooden bench, her small blanket soft under my coat. Damon stood across the table, sleeves rolled up, eyes downcast. Miranda and Sable sat together on the far side, stiff smiles pasted on like old photographs. My palms rested loosely on the stroller handle. I inhaled quietly, letting the silent rhythm of my heartbeat steady me. The mediator cleared her throat and asked each side to speak. Miranda opened with gentle concern. She framed everything as backup in case of another episode, claiming love, protection, safety for the baby. Her words unfolded carefully, calm, practiced, rehearsed. I raised my chin, letting her finish before I answered. Anxiety doesn't disqualify motherhood, I said, soft but firm under the courtroom lights. Hiding fear under love, that does. The room shifted. Forked glances. Damon's fingers twitched at the table. The air grew thick, like cold fog. Then Celeste cleared her throat and stepped forward. From her hands she unfolded a thin letter, yellowed edges, my mother's handwriting curled across the page. She held it steady. She left this for Seraphine, she said plainly, because she trusted she would rewrite patterns, not repeat them. Their eyes flicked among us. I read the letter aloud, words I never expected to hear from beyond time. Do not let people use love as camouflage for fear. Speak your boundaries as softly as lullabies, but never stop singing them. My voice caught somewhere mid-sentence. Tears welled, not for sadness alone, but for purpose reborn. Silence stretched. Then Aunt Marian rose, slow and deliberate. She looked at Miranda, then at Sable. Her voice cracked the hush. This has gone too far. Seraphine didn't lose her way, we did. She withdrew her notarized support from the petition. Gasps fluttered at the table. Sable's eyes widened, disbelief etched in her expression. Miranda exhaled sharply. Damon turned his gaze to me. Confusion, regret, something raw. He spoke quietly. Maybe it's time we stop deciding for you. I folded my hands on the stroller. It's never too late to leave a war you never needed, I said calmly. The weight of so many nights, so many tears, settled behind those words. Later that afternoon, we returned home. I locked the safe for the last time, placed new guardianship documents in a sealed box off-site, and asked Damon to witness as second parent. He obliged, pen wavering slightly before pressing down. He looked at me, his voice gentle. This is what I should have done from the start. I held Lily close in the living room, autumn light slanting through curtains, dust motes dancing like tiny confessions. I whispered to her, "You don't need protectors. You need a circle that won't collapse when I stand in it." The promise hung quiet, soft, a lullaby without shame. Night came. I pushed the stroller gently through the back lawn, dry leaves crunching beneath my boots. In the distance, I saw Miranda's car idling at the curb, headlights dim, silhouette quiet. I held my breath, but continued walking, Lily asleep against my shoulder, safe under the moon. Then my phone vibrated. Unknown number. My thumbs hesitated again. The message screamed, "You don't know me. Your mother helped my family. I owe her everything. Call me." The light from the screen painted my face pale in the dark. My chest did not tighten. My spine straightened, not rigid, but ready. I whispered one word aloud. "Mom." Because sometimes closure doesn't stop the silence. It opens a door for truth. If you're watching this story unfold, ask yourself, when love is hidden behind fear, what's worth saving? And when the past hands you a letter, will you read it loud enough to heal?